compact and subcompact SUVs are huge business for most, if not all, automakers. In fact, for some of them, if it wasn't for their small, high-volume SUVs, be it in the compact or subcompact categories, well, they'd have to shut the lights off and probably do the same with the assembly line. One such automaker that is in that kind of position right now is Volkswagen. I like to blame, because I'll never forgive them for doing so, the fact that they've cut the Golf out altogether, with the exception of the GTI and the R, but then still haven't forgiven them for dropping the manual transmission in both cars. Well, if you take the Taos and the Tiguan combined, they represent the very vast majority of Volkswagen sales in North America. Throw in the Atlas family, and you could basically cut out everything else, including the EVs, and they would still be semi-profitable. Moving forward, or looking back first, the Taos has been essentially a success story. For the most part, it's done quite well. I have enjoyed it and not enjoyed it so much for a few reasons. One of the reasons why I did not enjoy it, well, has been completely revised for 2025. Now, as you can probably not entirely see, though, maybe somewhere over here, it has been facelifted both inside and out. But that one critical change, and it does make, sometimes just one thing can change absolutely everything. And I'll tell you now, because I love to sabotage my videos, it's just something I do. Gone is the DSG, which in some applications is an absolute marvel of technology, whereas in others, the pre-facelifted Taos, it was a complete disaster. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. Gone, and now replaced by a conventional 8-speed automatic transmission. And it makes, as I said, all the difference. Now, this SUV, if it wasn't already one of the best sellers or the best seller, it will be, at least according to Volkswagen Canada, their best-selling model in calendar year 2025. And now, after driving it for a while, it's clear to me, the value, the styling. Anyhow, in the following video, as per the norm, we will do a few laps of the Taos, and I'll show you the changes visually inside and out, and then we're going to go for a so much more enjoyable drive. It almost makes no sense. So please hang in there. All right, so right off the cuff, you can see that the front end has been updated, and in short, it looks really good. The way they cut out the bumper, the way it kind of protrudes that way, it just really looks good. Headlights are revised. And you have an optional light up front grille or logo, as well as that bar that covers or connects both the front headlights. You have new wheel designs and new colors. This is Alpine Gray, actually, and it was introduced with the Jetta, the updated Mark 7.5 Jetta. Shadow, sorry about that. As we continue the lap, we will see that the rear end too has been nipped and tucked. This is standard, the light bar across the rear, which is a very popular feature on most modern vehicles. In Canada, pricing starts for the Trendline $29,795. That's for the base front wheel drive, which represents only 3% of total model sales, which is kind of funny, because who's interested really in front wheel drive in Canada? I don't know. If you go the cheapest 4Motion version for the 2025 Taos is $31,795. Then you move up the Comfort line, $35,295. And the one you're looking at right here is a Highline 4Motion, which is the top trim, $38,995. All things considered, it's a fair amount of value. There is one thing on this model actually that we won't get in Canada, and that's like the black features, the black wheels. We will not be getting those, which is fine, because honestly, the wheels look very bland, boring. I'd go so far as mundane and not interesting at all. So that works out. One of the things about this updated Taos and the Taos itself is that it happens to be one of the roomiest small SUVs on the market. The trunk, unfortunately, I don't recall the exact figure, but I'm sure we're looking at well over 700 liters of volume. It really is accessible. There isn't much room under there, but the width, the height, the lift over, everything is actually really good. The absence of a power hatch, I guess I'll forgive, and this is a US model, so it's an SEL. Rear bench is, well, very spacious. I mean, I've used it as a family vehicle, and yes, blue leather for some versions. It looks spectacular. 2 kids can easily sit across here with the baby seats. That absolutely works out. Like the Atlas family, Volkswagen has done is severely upgrade and update the interior. And you can see all the touch materials or the surfaces have all been updated, upgraded. The dashboard too has been revised. It looks as you would normally expect a Volkswagen looks like, which is mainstream premium, and it really, really applies here. As always, door bins for Volkswagens, some of the best, largest in the business. The seats, this is the multi-way power adjustable ones, and lumbar support is actually fairly decent, much better than my Golf, but I won't go there too much. As we step aboard, start it up. The good news is that there are no haptic buttons on the steering wheel. The bad news is that they're all down here, and we're going to turn down, but the volume knob is still here, and the 8-inch display is now standard for all versions. This one has the digital IP, which works out nicely. Steering wheel grip is fantastic. I mean, the interior is absolutely beautiful. It really, really works out. Your drive modes, nothing special or new here. Again, dashboard revised. Sadly, this piano black stuff, just reflection right to my eyes. But maybe one day someone will realize, like screens, that they're just a distraction and looks aren't everything. At least that's what I've been told. Visibility is as it was, I mean, thanks to the fact that the screen is low mounted on the dashboard and the pillars are fairly upright. We have great visibility overall, as you can see. You can see my colleague today. It's a really, really nice place to be, and really love. Kudos to the cross stitching and the blue materials on the dashboard and the new layout. Anyhow, now it's time for the drive. Immediately you can tell that the DSG is gone. Throttle response is not immediate per se, but you can tell that the engine and the transmission, the new now for all, both front wheel drive and all wheel drive 4Motion models, 8-speed automatic transmission and the 1.5 turbo are actually in sync. Previously the DSG, and is more or less what I said in my review from a number of months ago, it's as though it was always gear hunting. Should I go down to first? Should I upshift to second right away? There would be a delay and a lag and then a hard dry shift. All of that is now in the past. It is unbelievable. The improvement is just on a whole other, I mean, I kind of said it, but this is going to sell absolutely very well in 2025 calendar year. Other improvements, though I'm not so sure we could call them that, is the aforementioned turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine now puts out 174 horsepower, up from 158 in the pre-facelift version. Now torque stays the same at 184 pound-feet. Essentially there is no difference whatsoever except on paper. Can't tell. I mean, we've done a number of little acceleration stints. There's no discernible improvement performance-wise. The same goes for fuel consumption. I mean, we're averaging just over 9 liters per 100 kilometers now in combined driving. Volkswagen Canada says you can expect 8.4 with the 4Motion model, which I'd say is about on par with the remainder of the segment. Other things that haven't changed is handling. When you upgrade, I suppose, to 4Motion, you get multi-link rear suspension as opposed to a torsion beam. The Tiguan has always been one of the better handling models in the segment, and that remains true to this day. Steering is fine, brakes are fine. There's no real change as far as that's concerned, but the reason for that is quite simple. It wasn't broke, so they didn't have to fix it. Truly in the segment, I mean, I think that the new kicks, the all-new kicks, came from almost nowhere to becoming one of at least my top considerations. Where the Taos used to be one of the absolute last with the previous kicks, it's now back up on top. Compared to an HR-V, there is no comparison. The Corolla Cross has one massive advantage, and that's the potential fuel savings from the hybrid versions, which in my opinion make an entire massive mountain of a difference. The price, however, is pure driving enjoyment, but it's not a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. Other options, I don't know, the Chevy Trax is quite attractive, and there's a few others. But somewhere between the Taos in your top 5 and the Kicks in the top 2, I mean, I think you've got pretty much the segment covered. And if you throw in the Corolla Cross, which would be in the top 2 as well, despite the driving, the CVT is really the only issue. Otherwise, bravo Volkswagen, they fixed what needed to be fixed, and they left everything else, or just improved it just enough to make it that much more attractive in the segment. And, well, that's basically it.